He showed up in court wearing a hoodie, no tie, no lawyer, no fanfare, just another tired black man waiting to be processed. At least, that's what the cops in the back row thought. Officer Kent Harlan leaned over and whispered, "Another street rat with a sob story. Watch this guy cry when he gets sentenced." The two deputies beside him laughed, but the man standing at the defense table? He wasn't lost. He wasn't scared. He wasn't what they thought. When the judge asked for ID, he didn't reach for his wallet. He reached for a black badge case, and when he flipped it open, the courtroom stopped breathing. Because this man was a senior special agent of the United States Secret Service, and the racist cop who mocked him was seconds away from becoming federal evidence. He walked into court like a shadow. No lawyer, no suitcase, just a gray hoodie and silence. To the cops sitting in the back, that was all they needed to see. Officer Kent Harlan leaned forward, whispered to the rookie beside him, "Another broke brother trying to charm his way out of jail. Watch this." They laughed. Not quietly. Adrian West didn't react. He sat there, back straight, hands folded, eyes forward. Judge Rivera looked up from the docket. Case 52, People versus Adrian West. Charges: trespassing, failure to comply, and providing false identification. She raised an eyebrow. "Mr. West, do you have representation?" He stood, calm, unbothered. "I'll be representing myself today, Your Honor." Kent Harlan scoffed from the gallery. "Of course he will." The judge glanced at him, unamused. "Officer Harlan, unless you'd like to be held in contempt, zip it." A few chuckles behind the bench. But Adrian, still calm, still watching. Rivera continued. "Mr. West, do you wish to make a statement before we proceed?" He nodded. "Yes, I'd like to present evidence that contradicts the police report." Permission granted. What happened next wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it was surgical. Adrian West reached into the inside pocket of his hoodie and pulled out a small black case. He opened it, turned it toward the judge. The courtroom didn't gasp, because they couldn't even breathe. Inside that case, a federal badge, United States Secret Service. Not stolen, not fake, not borrowed. His. Kent Harlan sat up straight. The rookie next to him stopped breathing. Adrian spoke again, his voice low but clear. "I was conducting a covert field analysis of response procedures for non-uniformed agents. I verbally identified myself to responding officers and advised them to contact DHS for confirmation. Instead, I was detained, thrown against a car, accused of loitering in front of a federal building that I have level 3 clearance to enter." He slid a printed document across the table. Task orders, clearance logs, time-stamped entry data from Homeland Security. Judge Rivera didn't speak for a full 5 seconds. Then she looked up, slowly. "Mr. West, on behalf of this court, I apologize." She turned to the prosecution. "This case is dismissed with prejudice." Then to the bailiff. "Send a memo to the chief of police and internal affairs. We may have a training issue on our hands." Adrian gave a single nod, closed his badge case, and turned to leave. He passed Kent Harlan on the way out. Didn't smile, didn't smirk, just said one sentence. "You cuffed a federal agent, officer. You might want to call your union rep." And then he was gone. No shouting, no fist raised, no noise at all. Just a quiet man who let the truth do all the talking. The video was only 36 seconds long, grainy, shaky, shot on a phone from the back of the courtroom. But it was enough. It showed a man in a hoodie pulling out a badge, the judge's face changing, a cop in the gallery suddenly pale. And when Adrian West turned to leave, the camera caught his parting words, "You cuffed a federal agent. You might want to call your union rep." That line, it hit the internet like a punch to the teeth. By the next morning, it had over 2.3 million views. The hashtags were everywhere. USS badge drop, racist cop exposed, courtroom checkmate. But inside the precinct, silence. Not the kind that brings peace, the kind that hides rot. Officer Kent Harlan sat stiff in the briefing room, eyes forward, jaw clenched. The chief was already on his third coffee, pacing like the walls were closing in. "Let me make this clear," he barked. "No one talks to the press. No one posts. You see a camera, you walk the other way. Internal Affairs is coming down our throat, and DHS wants a written response by Friday." A rookie raised his hand. "But isn't this on them? I mean, he never said who he was until court." Heads turned. Fast. Harlan snapped. He was loitering. No ID, no badge shown. End of story. Someone coughed. No one spoke, because the truth was on tape. Meanwhile, In a quiet building 3 blocks from the courthouse, Adrian West wasn't watching the view count. He was watching transcripts, internal memos, complaint logs, audio pulled from cruiser dash cams. He wasn't done. Because this wasn't about a single traffic stop gone wrong. It was about a culture. A system trained to see threat first, skin first, guilt first. Agent Maria Velasquez stood beside him, arms crossed. "You think this precinct is the only one?" "No," Adrian said, "but it's the first one I let cuff me." She blinked. "Wait, you let them?" He nodded. "I needed to see what they'd do when they thought I was nobody." Maria sat down slowly. "And what did they do?" He didn't answer. He just hit play. A body cam recording. Officer Harlan's voice. "DHS? Yeah, right. I've seen that act before. Let's see how tough he is once we slam him on the hood." She winced. "That enough?" he asked. Maria sighed. "More than enough." Internal Affairs opened a file the next day. It wasn't public. Not yet. But inside it, 3 prior complaints against Harlan. All closed. 2 witnesses who withdrew statements after community pressure. 1 surveillance tape mysteriously lost in evidence. And now, a federal agent with time-stamped footage and an audience of millions. At the station, Harlan paced. His badge felt heavier than usual. He turned to the locker room door, paused, then opened it. Inside, someone had taped a printout to his locker. 1 screenshot, Adrian's badge, and a caption, "You picked the wrong ghost." He ripped it down, but it didn't matter, because ghosts, they don't forget. And Adrian West wasn't done. He had 1 more file, locked behind clearance codes. Marked, Branch County Initiative Phase 2. The target? Not Harlan. Not even the precinct. The silence that made it possible. Adrian West didn't stumble into that arrest. He designed it. Every angle. Every step. Every silence. 3 weeks before the courtroom scene, Adrian sat in a bland DHS office in D.C. looking at a board full of redacted names and closed cases. Maria Velasquez handed him a folder. Another one. Branch County. Complaint dismissed last month. Same cop. Adrian flipped through it. Photos, handwritten notes, victim, 17-year-old boy, pushed to the ground, cuffed, released, no apology, no follow-up. Same line in the file. Subject failed to comply. He leaned back. "This guy works the courthouse perimeter too?" Maria nodded. "Off-duty moonlight gig. He's not subtle. You want it?" Adrian closed the folder. "I want them to show who they are without knowing I'm watching." The hoodie wasn't random. Neither was the day. Or the location. Adrian stood outside the federal building for 22 minutes. Didn't say a word, didn't move fast, didn't even hold a phone. He just waited. Sure enough, Officer Kent Harlan rolled up, sunglasses on, ego out. The first thing out of his mouth, "Hey, you lost, hoodie?" The second, "Show ID or move along." Adrian gave the line he rehearsed. "Sir, I'm conducting a personal survey. I'm not trespassing." Then came the shove, then the cuffs, then the whisper from Harlan's partner, "You sure this one ain't someone?" But it was too late. The cam was rolling, and the trap was set. Back in present day, Adrian stared at the full playback in the ops room. Every grunt, every threat, every stop resisting that never actually happened. It wasn't just misconduct, it was routine. And routines are built by systems. He zoomed in on the corner of the screen. A second officer. Name tag, Novak. Expression, not aggression. Hesitation. Adrian paused the video. "Got you," he whispered. "You didn't want this." Officer Ray Novak sat in his squad car that night, staring at his hands on the wheel. He'd just finished a domestic call. No violence, just noise. But the real noise? It was in his inbox. Subject line, "Did you see who he really was?" Attached, the courtroom clip, the press coverage, the full badge reveal, and 1 line from someone anonymous, "You were there. You could speak." Ray sat frozen, because he remembered everything. The badge, the slam, the look Adrian gave him, calm, assessing, like he wasn't angry, like he was watching. At the precinct, Harlan was unraveling. He tried to act like it didn't matter. "That agent played us. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Fine, let him go viral." But his voice cracked around the edges, because viral meant spotlight, and spotlight meant audits, and audits meant buried bodies float. He opened his locker. There was a new envelope inside. No name. Inside, a single sheet of paper, a list of case numbers, all ones he thought were gone. At the bottom, "You left fingerprints, he left cameras." Meanwhile, Adrian sat across from Maria, pointing at a screen. "Novak's our crack," he said. "Young, green." He didn't speak up, but he didn't escalate either. He hesitated. That means guilt or doubt. Either way, it means leverage. Maria frowned. You're gonna pressure him? Adrian shook his head. No, I'm gonna give him a door. She studied him. You're really gonna flip a cop? He met her eyes. No, I'm gonna remind one that he's still human. Novak got the call the next afternoon. Unmarked number, no voice, just a recorded message. If you're ready to talk, go to 44 Grand Avenue. Back alley entrance. No badge, no phone, just you. He hung up, didn't move for 10 minutes, then started the car. Adrian stood in the alley, arms folded, coat zipped up. Novak walked slow, not scared yet, but cautious. He stopped 5 feet away. You? Really, Secret Service? Adrian pulled out his badge, let it flash in the light, then tucked it away. You were quiet that day. Novak looked down. I didn't know what to do. He snapped quick. I thought if I said something. Adrian cut him off. You didn't, and that's the problem. A long pause. Then Adrian handed him a flash drive. What's this? Everything you saw, everything you heard, everything the system will pretend never happened unless you speak. Novak stared at it. I'll lose my badge. Adrian stepped closer. Maybe, but you'll keep your name. Later that night, Novak opened the file on his laptop. He watched the body cam again, this time with clarity. He watched Harlan laugh, watched himself look away, and then he opened a blank email. 2. Internal Affairs. Subject, Incident Review, Voluntary Statement. He hovered over send, his hand trembled, then clicked. In a quiet federal archive room, Adrian West received the notification. He didn't smile, didn't fist pump, he just closed the laptop, because the system was finally cracking. And the trap had always been there. Part 4, The Pushback, 1,400 words. The email hit Internal Affairs at 8:03 a.m., subject voluntary statement, Officer R. Novak. It didn't explode, it didn't set off sirens, it just arrived. But inside the station the effect was seismic. The people who had long benefited from silence felt something they hadn't in years. Exposure. Chief Dana Brody read the email twice, then a third time. She wasn't new. She'd seen things get buried. She'd done the burying. But this was different. Novak hadn't just written a report. He'd included body cam time codes, contradictory statements by Harlan, and worst of all, he CC'd a state attorney, the kind who didn't play golf with cops. She hit forward, sent it to legal, then stared at the screen. This house was built on rot, she thought, and now the termites are writing reports. In the break room, Harlan stood frozen, coffee halfway to his mouth. They're saying Novak flipped. His partner Simmons shrugged. Maybe it's nothing. No, it's him. It's that badge boy ghost. You mean West? Harlan set the cup down. Hard. They're building something. Quiet, legal, and I'm telling you, we're the target. He grabbed his phone, punched in a number. Get me McAdams, he barked into the receiver. Tell him I want to sit down. Now. Adrian West was already 3 moves ahead. He sat in a downtown cafe, plain clothes, laptop open, earbuds in. He wasn't listening to music. He was listening to them. Body cam mics, cruiser chatter, station hallway recordings, and one phone call from Simmons to a fixer named McAdams. Yeah, Harlan spooked. Says we need to lock things down. Any old footage, old cams, scrub them. Adrian sipped his coffee. They were doing it again, cleaning up. But this time the broom left prints. At the same moment, Novak sat alone in an internal affairs office. The chair was cold. The walls were blank. Across from him sat a woman with a badge and a notepad. IA Agent Shelby Fields. She pressed record. Officer Novak, everything you say here is voluntary and on the record. Understood? He nodded. She didn't smile. Let's begin. Back at the station, Simmons walked into the evidence room. Alvarez, the clerk, looked up. Need the raw drive from Cruiser 62, 3 weeks ago. Alvarez frowned. That case already got copied to the feds. Simmons smiled. Yeah, well, Chief wants us to double-check everything, for continuity. He held out his ID. Reluctantly, Alvarez turned to the cabinet. But when he looked back, Simmons was taking pictures. Of files, of logs, of internal logs that weren't his to see. Hey, Simmons shoved him. Hard. Sorry, buddy, chain of command. He walked out with more than a drive. He walked out with a map of what needed erasing. But Alvarez? He made a call. Not to the chief, to a federal tip line. You don't know me, he said, but I think I just watched someone try to kill a story. They asked for his name. He gave it. That night, Agent Maria Velasquez walked into Adrian's hotel room. She tossed a folder on the bed. Everything's moving, quietly, but hard. Adrian opened the file. Photos, phone logs, Simmons at the evidence desk, chain of custody violations. Then an alert. Incoming tip, Belridge PD. From inside. Maria looked at him. You sure you want to go nuclear? Adrian closed the folder. No, I want them to do it for me. The next morning, Channel 9 received a leak. Anonymous, time-stamped, footage from inside the station. It showed Harlan mocking Adrian's arrest, Simmons rifling through evidence, a copy of the body cam drive being tucked into a personal bag. The anchor didn't hesitate. The clip aired on the 6 p.m. news. The public lit up. Social exploded. Cover-up County trended top 5 nationwide. Outside the courthouse, protesters gathered with signs. You cuffed the wrong man. Badge or not, this is America. We see you, Branch PD. And in the precinct, Chief Brody sat in her office, phone ringing off the hook. She looked out the window at the flashing lights of news vans and whispered, "This isn't a scandal anymore. This is a reckoning." Part 5, The Reckoning, 800 words. The air in Branch County was no longer still. It buzzed, it crackled, it shook, and for once, it listened. Inside the state attorney's office, the mood was surgical. Files lined the table. Screens played synced footage, body cams, hallway cams, evidence room feeds. And in the center of it all, Adrian West. No hoodie, no badge, just a plain suit and silence. He didn't speak until they finished, and when he did, it was with no drama, just wait. Everything I needed to know about this precinct I learned the moment they looked past what I said and only saw what I looked like. The state attorney folded her hands, and now they're going to learn what that cost them. That afternoon, warrants dropped like hammers. Officer Simmons, arrested for tampering with evidence. Detective Harlan suspended, pending federal charges. Chief Brody resigned before her statement even aired. Novak, transferred, cleared, and listed as a key witness. By Friday, the Department of Justice launched a full probe. Civil Rights Division, internal conduct, systemic bias. They named it publicly, the West Inquiry. Not because Adrian asked for it, but because he couldn't be ignored anymore. In the following weeks, the protests grew larger, but quieter. Not angry, determined. Adrian never stood on stage, never gave a speech, never held a sign. But one night, he stood at the edge of the crowd, hands in his pockets. A young boy tugged at his mother's sleeve. "Mom, is that him?" She looked, nodded. "Yeah, baby, that's the man who made the badge blink first." 3 months later, a letter arrived from the director of the Secret Service. "Agent West, your request for reassignment has been approved. You will head a new initiative, Internal Systems Accountability, not for punishment, for prevention." Adrian smiled. Not because he'd won, but because the system finally saw the war it had denied. In a quiet hall in Washington, Adrian West stood before a class of new recruits. No cameras, no journalists, just 24 young eyes. He held up his old badge. "This doesn't protect you." He paused. "It doesn't define you." He tapped his chest. "What you carry inside, that's what speaks when this is silent." A student raised their hand. "Sir, what should we do when the system turns on its own?" Adrian didn't blink. "Be the part it can't lie about." That night he passed by the old courthouse. A new plaque had been installed. It read, "In memory of all the truths cuffed before they could speak." And to the man who refused to stay silent, he ran his fingers across the metal, then kept walking. The street was quiet now, but not empty. Because justice wasn't an echo anymore, it was a presence, and Adrian West had become part of it. The badge didn't make him seen, the truth did.